Hey guys, welcome back to What the Fact. Today I have the honor and privilege of speaking with what I think, after coming here, is probably the most interesting man in the world. Forget the Dos Equis guy. It's this guy.
I love that.
So, welcome to the show, Gerry.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to start a little bit. Your story is incredible, and you're an author of a book called Shit the Moon Said. I love it. It's a great book. And obviously CEO of Rythmia. But bring us back a little bit to your childhood in a sense that you got kicked out of school and you were about to go to jail for, what was it, 7 different accounts?
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about what transpired and how that maybe didn't come to fruition?
Yeah, I ended up through just a series of good luck events, being acquitted from those 7 charges or check charges. All kinds. One was a firearms charge that was really bad, and I ended up getting acquitted from the whole thing, and made my way into life after that. But it was hard, like not having the high school diploma, and then having been arrested for multiple crimes, even though I wasn't convicted. I was in a small area and everybody knew what was, the history of someone. Yeah. And I had drug problems and stuff. So, it was a hard start. I had a hard start. Yeah.
And so then you went on and you created a very successful business. It was a marketing company for plastic surgeons?
Correct.
Yeah. And so you went
Marketing and finance.
Marketing and finance.
And then ultimately it started as a marketing and finance company, and it ultimately ended up as a practice management company. And so I could aggregate all their revenue. So we built a bigger company. Yeah.
Incredible. And you went on to sell that, for what, 90 million?
Yep. Yeah.
And so that was huge, right? People would look at that and be like, that's it, like everything you wanted to accomplish in life, you sold a company for a lot of money, but there was something deeper, I guess, that still wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah, I was at my worst. People say this, and I believe that it's true. People that have had a capital event, let's say, that money is the great magnifier. So if you take a guy, who's super, Bill Gates, who's a very sound guy, money does not change that. He's the same sound guy. If you take a Warren Buffett, he's the same guy but if you take a guy like me, at that time, that had all these personal issues, then the money just magnifies the heck out of it and makes it look, it brings whatever's boiling in there to the top.
Right. Right. And one of our good friends, Tony Robbins, always says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
It's the worst thing in the world.
And so you were involved in drugs, and you were involved in alcohol, and some challenges. And I remember one of the things you told us, and you talk about in the book, is that I think everyone in their life goes through a moment where like something clicks and you're like, this isn't right, like I gotta get my shit together.
Yes.
And you talk about your kids walking in when you were shooting up demos.
Yes.
Can you talk about that experience?
Yeah, my wife of 20 years had left me, and she took the only 2 things that I really loved was those kids, and she took them and they would come over after school and get like stuff from the house to bring to their new apartment, and this one evening, I was addicted to injectable Demerol at the time, and I didn't know this, but they already knew, and like later on I found out they knew a long time ago, but I didn't know that they knew. And the kids came over, and I was in a Chesterfield sofa, I'll never forget it, and I had stuck the plunger into me, and I just drifted, and then I heard the ding of the elevator in my house, and when I came to, my sons were in the room, and so that was the point where I said to myself, look, I can do this to myself, but I can't do it to anyone else. I certainly can't do it to the kids,
Right.
you know. And that was it for me. I made a decision, and I'd say that was it. That was the start of it for me.
And then so you were like, you know what, I gotta go get help.
Yes. Yeah.
And this story's wild. So you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go to this place in Malibu.
Yep.
And get help, and talk a little bit about how you didn't at first end up going.
No, I didn't. I ended up. I changed my mind. I flew from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania to Camarillo, and during that flight, I changed my mind about going to rehab because I was out of drugs yet, and I had a lady that I know picked me up at the airport with her friends. And instead of going to Passages, I went to the Malibu Beach Inn, and I stayed there for a few days and partied with these women. And then finally they sent someone from Passages to get me. And then I went to Passages and I met Dr. Jeff, who has been a savior in my life. He's a guy that really has been a savior in so many different ways. You know, that then started the change in my life. And I was in full-time counseling for about 5 years, and it just really wasn't working for me, but it kept me alive. And then
And that's incredible. And Dr. Jeff, like, I talk a lot to people about like finding your anchor, like find someone, and
yes.
so he was kind of like your anchor.
My God, yes, yeah.
And so you kind of you were like, you know what, I don't need the rehab, I need you.
Yes.
And so you kind of brought him out and were just like, I need to work with you. Because at first when you came out of rehab, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was like,
my God, it was still just as bad, you know.
Yeah.
It was just as bad, and I did manage to hire him full time, and he stayed with me. He's still with us today.
Yeah.
He's a partner of mine in this, you know.
Amazing.
But amazing story. Yeah.
Amazing. And then you talked a little bit about your journey to the Philippines, and
yes.
you were expecting to go there with your girlfriend at
yes.
the time. And can you tell us a little bit about like what happened during that?
Yeah, we got in a fight, and I ripped up her ticket and went along to the Philippines to a couples resort, believe it or not. And while I was there, I put on Facebook how disgruntled I was for being there, along with a beautiful picture. And a woman who I met through Jeff, actually through a friend of Jeff's, happened to be watching my Facebook, and she Facebook messaged me, and she said that she had a premonition that I was going to kill myself, and she wanted to come and talk with me. And she was in New York, and I was in the Philippines, and it just so happened she was doing a no-speak retreat in Cebu, in the Philippines, and she wanted to come and visit me for a couple days, and she was a beautiful lady, and I was like, sure, absolutely. And and when she got to me, she told me that she had a friend who was very much like me, who went to this place and did this plant medicine in Costa Rica, and it fixed them for good. So I said I didn't believe it, but I was out of options. I was out of things to do. Yeah.
And it's amazing because I think things don't happen by coincidence. Like you posting that picture saying this place sucks on the beach,
exactly.
her
yes.
seeing that,
yes.
connecting to you, and so you end up and you're like, you know what, I gotta take the shot. You end up saying, I'm gonna go do it. You meet your assistant at the
yep.
airport, and you're off to Costa Rica, and have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And I remember you talked about the guy who picked you up at the airport shows up with like a big Mac.
Yeah. And I was like, what?
You're like, what am I getting into?
Yeah, and it was all that whole event was sketchy, you know, the ride to the place itself, it was sketchy. And yet it was the best thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life, yeah.
And what was the shaman's name?
Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah.
And so you end up, the first night, like you literally landed, you said you were still like drunk from the flight,
Yeah.
and completely different, and we'll talk about kind of the process here, but like you landed, you were still kind of like whatever, and he's like, you gotta take the, like you're taking the medicine tonight.
This medicine tonight, yeah. Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about your experience, like your first experience?
As soon as I took the medicine and I laid down and I saw a vision, and I told him that I saw a vision, and he came behind me and he was tapping me on the forehead, and I had a big blindfold on, and he said, "Tell me when you see my finger," and I thought, this guy's nuts, you know, because I can't see his finger. And sure enough, like honestly, within seconds after he said it, I see his finger, and I go to feel my face to make sure this thing's on, and I see my fingers and I feel like, oh, it's not on, and then I touched it, and I was like, holy crap, and so then he threw a series of things. I got to the moon, and you know, he guided me to the moon, and then I got to the moon, and I asked, there's questions that you write down, and the first question that I had was why I was such an asshole, you know, why I was such a bad guy, I guess. And the moon, through a bunch of different things, I ended up seeing a live video that I was in of a molestation that took place when I was about 3, and that event was the event that changed everything for me.
Right, and I remember you talking about that with your grandfather.
Yes.
And a lot of times people would be like, "That's like why I wouldn't want to remember that." But for you and a lot of people who are here and experiencing, rather than being filled with anger and hate and frustration, you kind of came out of that and were just like grateful. Like you're like, I feel bad, empathy, gratitude of like, this is why you know why you are the way you are, and like
Absolutely.
how to move forward from that.
Absolutely, yes.
Amazing, amazing. And while you were there, Mrs. Moon also gave you the blueprint
to do this
entire place, like building, place,
everything.
location.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And one of the things you asked her was, I believe it was, what is the secret to life?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
Truth. The word truth. About 260 pages of the word truth, which honestly is the secret to life. It's the whole thing. Whether you're looking at politics, whether you're looking at business, whether you're looking at your life or your family or your wife or your partner, you know, it's all about truth. The more accurately you can assess the truth, the better your life is going to be. Just absolutely the better your life is going to be.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so you speak with Miss Moon, and all of a sudden Rythmia comes to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it wasn't an easy process. It
No,
took a couple of years to get licensed and a lot of stuff going on.
Lots of craziness, yeah.
But one of the things that's magical about this place is, unlike your experience where you just show up and it's like, all right, we're gonna do this. There's a process here. There's a real process. And like, can you talk a little bit about why that's important? Like eating right, the integration, the classes. Like it's not just plant medicine. There's an entire process around it.
Correct. And you know, just like the wheels of a bicycle, like each one is equally important. Yeah. So the food is as important as plant medicine. The metaphysical teachings are as important. The integration's as important. And you know, the sum of the parts is actually greater than each of them. Like it's when you put all of this together, and she knew what she was doing, I swear to you, people talk about this, I could never, ever, ever in a trillion years have laid this out the way that she did. Because it's, a lot of it's incongruous. Like a colonic with plant medicine, it's like, they seem to be chalk and cheese, that they're so different, yeah? And yet, the brilliance of it in hindsight, when you look at it and you see the results of people going through this process of teachings, food, yoga, meditation, cleanse, plant medicine, breath work, like it's this system and it's the way that it's designed that makes just such a difference, because there's a lot of ayahuasca places, right, and then a lot of people have wonderful experiences at them. But there's, I mean, you can just read reviews and stuff, and I'm not saying it because it's ours, but it's night and day from what people experience here. It's just night and day, yeah.
Now, do you get a lot of people who are like, this is absurd, like you're out of your mind? I'm sure you get people all the time that are like, you are out of your mind, you're a nut job, this is insane. How do you respond to those people?
They're absolutely right. That's how I just surrender to that.
I love it.
Because if you, I swear to you, I think about this all the time. In my 40s, I would stay out all night, and I'd always wind up in a Denny's or something. Right? And I thought, if I was ever fucking sitting next to me now, like Gerry at 45 and Gerry at 56, if I listened to me talk, I would think this guy is a lunatic. He should be put away, and the keys should be thrown away. And because the things that are common day parlance for me here, this, how many people merged their soul last night, and how many died and were born? Did anybody get to the moon? Were people, did anybody turn to animals? How many animals were there? Like shit that if you were ever sane in a job like at Smith Barney's, and people think you're fucking nuts.
Right. Like
completely should be locked away. So when somebody responds that way to me, I automatically look at them and go, I get where you're coming from, because I understand. I so understand it, because in a world of cubicles and new cars and kids and mortgages and plastic, and this looks crazy. Right. This looks crazy. Absolutely.
And one of the things that you can't deny, and I think this is the most profound thing, it's all around the facility, is you have this ticker, and it gives a percentage of people who have had miracles while they're here.
Yes.
And what is that number at right now?
95.57, I think, as of the other day.
So 95.57, and you've had a little over 7,000?
Correct.
7,000 people come through here.
Yep. And that is self-reported and electronically self-reported. So we can't, nor would we, ever move that number. What I love that number. But what's even more interesting to me, not more interesting, more ridiculous to me, is that TripAdvisor is the largest aggregator in the world of opinions on vacation related things. And TripAdvisor, we're the #1 customer rated resort in the world on TripAdvisor.
Really?
Yeah. So that includes the Four Seasons and the Ritz and the Waldorf and the St. Moritz, all these beautiful, beautiful properties. And we are with over 1,000 reviews, so it's really real. What happens here to people is like nothing in the world, It's
And
like nothing.
it's amazing, and it's a huge kudos to you for leading that. But the entire team here, like even the couple of days so far that I've been here, is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like there's not one person that I've met that isn't a happy and they are fulfilled in what they're doing and they're just here to serve at a higher level.
Yes.
It's incredible to watch that.
I love that.
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're having a great time.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of the questions people always ask that people have no idea about plant medicine or anything is like, has anyone ever gotten injured? Has there ever been an issue?
Yes. Yeah.
What would people?
One
expect?
guy fell and bit his tongue, and I thought he needed stitches. We sent him to the hospital in Liberia, and he didn't. And then after ceremony, a day later, a woman fell at is that called a yard sale? Like a yard sale. And she broke her arm. But it was a day after surgery, a day after the ceremony.
Okay.
So what we do that nobody else does, I believe, is we have on staff, we have 2 doctors, 3 doctors, about 6 or 7 nurses, an EMT. We have our own ambulance that waits during the ceremony. And statistically, this is across the board, ceremony is much safer than driving a car, much safer than flying here. But yet we have all of these levels of protection because anything can happen. And then, because we're a resort and 7,000 people go in and out, normal stuff happens, like people have a heart attack that can happen.
Right.
So we want to be covered for anything that could possibly occur.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I talked a little bit about it in vlogging the entire experience, but I passed out on the first night. And,
Hooray!
And I know. And the most amazing thing was I've never felt safer in my entire life. Like I woke up, there were 4 shamans around me, blowing this water on, fanning me, and it was like this scary but yet magical experience.
How beautiful, man.
It was amazing. So you're right. They're here to. I've seen so much over the last couple nights, and like the entire team and the staff you have is like so protective and there to just really help and serve.
They're trying.
A couple more questions. There's people might ask like, how do I know if I'm old enough or am I too old for this? Even just this week alone, I think there's someone who's 19 and there's an older lady who is in her 70s. What's the youngest and oldest person?
18 is the youngest by law with our license, with the license that we have. And the oldest here has been 84, 85.
Amazing.
And we
This might answer your question. Harrison, Arkansas was founded in 1869, 151 years ago.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. So that is crazy. And New York Times just did an article on us about a month and a half ago about older people that come here to do ayahuasca. Because every week we have someone in their 70s or 80s, like every week. And usually a lot of people in their late 60s, early 70s. And the article was kind of about how people are living longer. And then, normally, back in the day, you'd retire at 62 and you'd be dead by 64, right? And so now people are living longer, healthier, and they're wondering, okay, what is my purpose now for the rest of my life? And the ayahuasca is a beautiful way. And this center is a great way to, to figure that out,
That's wonderful. And one of the things I even forgot to mention is like we're in a blue zone, right?
Yes.
So like it's an amazing resort inside of a blue zone where people live a lot longer than everyone else.
What's crazy? I want to tell you this too. I think I can say this honestly. I don't think I've ever known anyone in the United States that I personally knew who had a relative who lived to 100. I just maybe late 90s and things like that. But here at this resort, if you talk to the employees, they all have relatives that have reached 100.
Wow.
All of them. So this blue zone thing is actually real.
Yeah.
It's really real.
That's powerful.
And I had, what's that fella's name? My friend, and Dr. Joe Mercola. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
So he comes down and sees me here,
Yeah.
and he reads all of these levels of electronic interference, and there's hardly none.
Really?
So, yeah, he sleeps in a tent, like in a kind of RF protective tent.
EMF.
And he doesn't hear. He just like lays down. And, yeah,
Amazing.
crazy.
Amazing. Now, everyone goes through different journeys. Can you tell everyone what the 4 types of journeys that people may experience
Yeah,
are?
so when you drink the medicine, you can have a body experience, like a body journey. You can have pinta, which is when you see things. You can have consulta, which is when something speaks to you. Or you can have anada, which is where nothing happens at all. Yeah.
It's amazing. That happened to me not the night before last. I was the nada.
Yeah, you were.
I was the
I
nada.
remember that.
Yeah. But last night, very, very different experience.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely beautiful. And then what are the 3 different things? And there's signs that are all over. Show me who I become, and then what else?
Yeah, so the way that it was explained to me by the moon, yeah? And so I know that sounds so crazy. I really do understand how crazy. But, so show me who I become is a way of yourself acknowledging what the world has done to you, who you become on this planet. And most people are either not as authentic as they would want to be, or liars, or sad, or envious, or something. The earth has made them. And so, show me who I become. The medicine will actually point you to exactly who you become. And then you admit it. And once you admit it, the second intention is to merge it back with your soul. And then your soul comes in and will merge. And then the final intention is to heal the heart. And that's, you know, your heart gets healed.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's easy
beautiful.
stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful. What are, besides your own, what are some of the most incredible miracles?
I love talking about this. Okay, so this is what's so great about it. That, you know, some people have been, I had a lady in here who was raped all through her childhood. Then she was shot. Then she recovered from the shooting. She got into a car accident and broke most of the bones in her body. And there's a lady who clearly had a terrible time in life.
Right.
Who had the most beautiful thing happen to her. In so much as she saw who she become, she merged back with her soul, and she healed her heart. Now, that person's awakening or healing is every bit. So then another person who was brought up in Connecticut that was had a beautiful life, went to privileged school, had great parents, and they really were great parents, had no alcoholism, no nothing, and yet had a little tiny thing happen to her when she was a kid, and split from herself. Her merger was just as life-changing as the other lady that I was talking about. So to everybody, their story is so personal that the level of miracle is the same, because once you're split, you're split. And it doesn't matter what did it. So, and I always get a charge out of people where they say, well, my childhood wasn't as bad as yours, but boy, I felt this and that. And deep down they feel they're terribly hurt, you know? Because everybody who's merged is in pain. You're in pain at some level. You might be a 2, but to you it's a 10.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It might be a 2 by comparison, but to you it's a 10, you know? So it's all that, yeah.
Powerful.
Mhm.
And one of the things that just even popped in my head is like, there have been 7,000 people who have gone through here, but the thing that you probably you can't even measure is the ripple effect
I
of those
can't
people
tell you.
going on and affecting other people and other. It's just
Yeah,
that's
it's crazy
amazing.
stuff.
That's amazing. That must
It's-
feel good.
It feels great, to know that you're, well, for me, it's like a karmic balancing, of all the bad stuff I did, and to make things better, and it's really real. Yeah, that's real.
Last couple questions is, what does the future of Rythmia look like? Where do you see Rythmia in the next couple of years? Do you see it expanding? Do you see it staying the same and really just honing in on different things?
I would say slight expansion at this property, and then, but constantly getting better at it and better at it and better at it. Hopefully serving as many people as we can, and what I would hope to see is other people deciding to get into businesses that serve people's souls. And if that was, in the past, it's hard because people follow their pocketbook. Like if you're opening up a bar and the bar is going to make a bunch of money, it's hard to change your mind and open up a meditation retreat center. It's hard because you have human desires for abundance and wealth and different things. But as health-based or spiritual-based entrepreneurs become more successful in serving the needs and souls of others, then these businesses will proliferate. And that is what I would love to see.
Powerful. Well, you're a living example of that.
It's starting to work.
You were going to open up a multiple strip club.
Yes.
And you ended up opening up
this
the incredible Life Advantage Center.
Yeah. Crazy,
Powerful.
right?
Last two things. One, more information. I'll post a link for everyone to go to. But is it just rythmia.com?
It's www.rythmia.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and or if you just Google Rythmia Costa Rica, we come up. Yeah.
Amazing. And the last question I always ask every guest is, what legacy, if everything were to end tomorrow, what legacy would you want to be remembered by?
I would hope that I'd be remembered as a guy who really screwed up, and ended up doing something pretty good and just wouldn't quit. That's what I would love to be remembered by.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man.
Brother. It's been an honor. I thank you for everything you've done here.
Well, thank you.
I hope so many people that are listening or watching this get to experience this someday, and just thank you for
We'd love to have you. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.